Alright, let's see if this works this time. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. I ran into some issues last time, so hopefully, fingers crossed, my hardware holds up this time. So, uh, I'm back to this cover, and it's taking forever because obviously it's super complicated. But I'm gonna turn off this, and I'm gonna turn off this character. Boom. And that leaves us some freedom to kind of just work in with all these other characters. So let's see what we can do here. What I'm doing is I am I'm trying to flat right now, so I'm not worried about rendering any of the highlights or shadows. It's just all about the essential color of the characters, which honestly is super complicated because of quantity. There's like 200 characters on this cover, so that's a lot of individual people to flat. It gets easier as I move into the background, but right now I'm prioritizing everyone in the foreground, and that's taking a little time. Oop. There we go. So this guy that I am drawing at the moment, that I'm flatting, he's called the Telescoper, and he's sort of like a Plastic Man analog. I'm gonna use a clipping mask to do all the little bits in between. So we'll do that. Boom. And that way all the work I did kind of figuring out the edges of where his form ends isn't wasted. I'm just kind of like working on top of it and flatting away. I'm also selecting the same colors that I used with him to keep him consistent. Especially since he's one of the few characters who sort of runs through the whole composition. So, what's up, Arjun? Welcome, welcome. I hope you can hear me. I hope the audio's okay this time. I had issues last week, so. So you can see him running that way, his arm, because he's a stretchy character, telescoping character. And then here, I want to make sure. I mean, when you lay in the initial flats, it doesn't super matter what color you choose, but obviously the objective is to come up with something that's gonna last long term. Yeah, I'm not sure which part of him goes where. Okay, I get it now. So it looks like his cape goes all the way down here. Something like that. I'm also seeing a straggler there, so let me clean that up. I'm just not sure which layer it's on. There it is. Got it. Okay. I don't have a name for this guy yet. I think he's called, I don't know. I think of him as some sort of Japanese superhero, so like a little Japanese tech wizard who's got his own, I guess, like T-spheres. Seems like a young adult character, like someone very shonen, action packed, and fun. Flatting is the part of the process I enjoy the least, and I can kind of understand why a lot of colorists outsource this because it's very mechanical and labor intensive, and it's not what the final thing will look like, but it's an essential step for getting your page looking the way you need it to. So I just gotta power through this. Alright, so I have 3 characters here. Now let's drill down and get them all more properly flatted. So I think for this guy, I want to give him yellow eyes. Kind of giving me like a night owl from Watchmen vibe. And with this thing, I'm just trying to like go for the easiest mark. So if there's something that looks like I know what color it's gonna be, I just go for that immediately. That way I'm not wasting too much time hemming and hawing on decisions, and any color you throw down implies another color later on, so just the act of keeping yourself moving helps. Boom. Okay. And then I think he's got, I feel like it's red, but I'm not sure which red. Like, I feel like he's got like Strider Hiryu vibes. So maybe something like that. Green and red, very Christmassy. Hey, what's up, Paul? Welcome, welcome. Well, I'm glad the stream seems to be working better this week, because last week I was so stressed out that something was wrong with the audio. Whew. I mean, usually on Sundays I try to stream at like 2 or 3, but I'm going to FlameCon this afternoon, so I won't have time to do it. It's better to do it now. And that way too, the nice thing about these streams, it kind of forces me to do work where I otherwise might fritter it away on like YouTube or whatever. or games. Doo doo doo. Whew. Okay. And then a yellow for here. And then some kind of darker blue. Maybe something more desaturated like this. No, a little lighter. That's the other thing that's tricky. Since there's so many flat colors bumping up against each other here, I have to make sure that they don't bleed into each other too much. Like this red has to be desaturated because it's gonna go up against the red of Red Thunder over here. So you just have to be careful. And I'm sure this is the same problem that, the colorist on Crisis on Infinite Earths ran into. George Perez is drawing everything in black and white, not knowing that maybe this character who has a particular blue is going to be like next to that character who also has another blue, and they're going to start bleeding together. So inventive inventive ways to avoid that is required, which is probably more of an issue back then because it's 1985, and 1985 they had way less colors to work with. I think maybe 32. Now you can kind of mess around with the whole. You can mess around with the whole process a little more. So now I have him there, and I can like mess with his main colors a little bit. So I want to desaturate it, maybe up the brightness. Something like that. And I think that dude's done. I still don't know what to call him. Maybe like most excellent super bugman or something like that. And then here's our other character. He is. I think I drew him after watching the Black Panther trailer, so he looks a lot like Namor, which is not good. So I'm gonna have to like do something in colors to make him look different. So first off, maybe I'll just give him blonde hair. And maybe leave the red skin on, so he's sort of like Gem, son of Saturn. We'll choose another yellow, like this thing. Boom. I have to say I did not do the flats on this very cleanly, so I'm having to clean up as I go. I was probably doing it on the bus too, so it's not always the most precise when I am commuting. Okay, there. Something like that. Paul says, I do my flat separations in garish colors and keep them as a hidden layer for selections. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Especially if you're working on Clip Studio or on Photoshop. My issue is I think with Procreate the selection matrix or whatever isn't as precise as I'd like it to be. So I find myself just kind of working out the flats as I go and not relying on being able to select them later. It feels more like manual flatting like they used to do in the old days, where they had these Doc Marten inks and sort of laying out big shapes, mixing them with water. I should probably have done this in Photoshop. I keep thinking that to myself now that I don't know how many hours in. Let's look. If I look at canvas properties, canvas information, statistics, I have spent 40 hours on this canvas by this point. Oh my god, that's a lot of time. But you can see why. It's just a ridiculously complicated cover with tons of characters. The I expect as I hit the later parts of the story, like so, I'm breaking this up into 3 issues, right? This is gonna be the first issue cover. Issue 2 and 3 will also have similarly complicated covers, so I'm just gonna have to make do. And issue 3 in particular, when we get to the big climax, it's gonna have a double splash. Bleh, speaking, a double page splash page where all the superheroes and supervillains go nuts fighting each other, Crisis on Infinite Earth style. So, I mean, if I think of that, right, and think, okay, this took me 40 hours. I mean, by the end of this, maybe it'll be like 48 hours, right? So, 2 days of my 2 days of my human lifespan. And then think about I have to do this 2 more times for the covers, so that's now up to 6 days. And then I have to do it 2 more times for the splash of the climax of the book. So now I have to do it 8 days of my life. Actually, that's kind of awesome. I'm into that. I like the idea of spending most of my time of my human lifespan drawing comics. So I actually don't mind. All right, here's our Son of Saturn esque Namor. Whoop. Throw a purple down there. Maybe not that high up. His colors now make me think of there was this Green Lantern villain called Major Force, I think. Reminds me of something like that. I'm gonna make sure he has some good, strong Saturnian teeth. Boom. And I think he could do with a little detailing, so something in the range of yellow but not super. Maybe a brown, yeah. We'll do that here. Just to give his stuff like a little more oomph. Okay. I'm probably gonna do a little more detailing on this when we get to shadows and highlights, but I think as a base this is decent. Maybe let's detail the feathers a little bit, right? Whoops. What am I doing? There we go. Okay, good enough. And then now we have this lady here. I think she's like a phoenix character, except instead of a phoenix raptor, it's an angelfish. I think that's her name, angelfish. So maybe I should check out. Hey, Silver Phantom, welcome, welcome. And yes, we do have sound this time. I'm so sorry about last time. I'm just gonna look up an angelfish really quick. Okay, so looks like there's a lot of colors to choose from, but I'm gonna go with yellow and blue, since there's already blue on this. And yellow sort of keeps me in the phoenixy zone of like color. Yeah, so she's like a cosmic space entity who takes on a human host. And she is the cosmic angelfish. I love it. By the end of this, I'm gonna have so many superheroes in my pocket. It's gonna be ridiculous. I'm gonna be able to do a whole comics line. And there are actually some characters here that I want to tell the story of, like on their own. So this kid over here with the yellow creature, this is Giga Boy, and man, I've got a whole story for him. That's like super super interesting. He comes from a world where people's insides become their outsides, so their subconscious manifests as literal characters. So that creature around him is actually his unconscious, like an external nervous system, or externalized an externalized subconscious. So all his impulses kind of filter through that creature. And it gets him into all sorts of trouble. Ooh, okay, that's done. Alright, angelfish. Let's get this done. I'm also excited because some of these characters feel super duper retro. So I can do like retro style stories with them. Alright, there's the angelfish. Let's get her face in. I wanted like a darker tone. Maybe something like that. Whoop, maybe not enough contrast. Let's go darker. There we go. Hey Erdem, welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a lovely Sunday. Hope you're drawing along. Okay, I've changed my mind about angelfish. I want that color. Cool, okay. And then let's give her something like this. Okay. And then we need her energy raptor to be of a certain color. Oop. I'm gonna choose. Whoop. What do angelfish look like? I guess we have like a reddish greenish thing going. So I'm gonna do some. I guess I'm gonna make it red for now. I'm gonna make it. Decisions. I'm gonna make it green. Like a Green Lantern green for now. And then I'm gonna do some effects on it when we get to the later stages. I just don't wanna spend too much time making her shiny at this point when I have all these other characters to flat. I gotta control my impulses. Honestly, it'd be more fun for me at this point to like try to over detail each character as I go, but I know that would be like way slower. So I'm trying to stop myself from doing that. Whoop. Get the selection on the ground. Whoop. Okay, there we go. Do I like that? Should it be green? What if it was like a green blue like that? Yeah, I like the green blue more. Okay, we're gonna keep it at that. Okay, there's our angelfish. Angelfish lady. Okay, so these are all our characters. We did 3 there. And now let's do some more. Maybe that guy over there, Mr. Daredevil, Airwave wannabe. He feels like he's orange to me, so let's orange him up. Honestly, this could go so many ways. I have to not overthink it. I mean, there's a part of me that wants to redo all the colors already, and I'm only flatting it. It's not healthy. Some of this too, there's like a level of detail that won't be visible to most people who see it as a finished cover. So I have to watch myself too from not spending too much time on stuff that's going to be invisible. Okay. All right. Okay. There we go. We have that guy. Let's color in Mega Man dude over here as well. I had a name for this guy and I completely forgot. But basically it's he's flower based. I imagine him as sort of like a Plants vs Zombies character come to life. Or maybe a kid in plant armor. I don't know. But something lighthearted. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oop. Why doesn't it want to do it? Okay. That guy. And then maybe this dude over here. I gave this guy a name too, but I'm forgetting. It's on my stories. Oh, it's Death Sparrow. That's what it was. This guy's Death Sparrow. I actually, obviously he's like inspired by Iron Fist, but I actually got his design slightly from Angry Birds, the big red character. I thought it was super funny. Ideas are everywhere, folks. Okay. Almost done with the silhouette part. It's always the most boring part. I'm also trying not to like second guess myself with the drawing. There are bits here where I'm like, I want to redraw that, but no, don't do that. Because if I redraw that, that means I have to redraw this other thing, and it becomes counterproductive. So I'm gonna keep it as respectful as possible to my past self, who already took time to do it, and let it go. So this week, apart from FlameCon, I've been really enjoying the the latest Marvel event, Judgment Day. It's pretty interesting. I think I did a video on the preview earlier, but like the event's well along now at like two issues and one spin-off, and I'm starting to see the shape of it, which is pretty fun. There's like a 3-page preview of it up online right now. Art by Valerio Schiti, colors by Marte Gracia, and words by Karen Gillan. And it's a sequence where Captain America gets judged by a celestial god, and it's pretty cool. There's like an implication that everyone's gonna get judged in this similar way. So it's pretty fun. And I think what's really interesting about events is you have to have like I guess like a cataclysm of scope that would affect all your characters on a personal level to some degree. So I mean, it's easy enough to come up with any cataclysm of scope, you know what I mean? Earthquake, fire, all the usual stuff. But it's harder to come up with something that's gonna like affect them on a personal level. I think that's a challenge with all these event comics. You have to give enough of a conflict that enriches the individual characters' books rather than just the main book's drama. So I guess a good example of that is Infinity War. Um, I guess probably everyone's watched the movie at this point, so I could probably refer to that. But like, if half the universe is sacrificed and deleted, right? Everyone's gonna have something to say about that. Everyone's gonna be affected in some way about that. So it's kind of perfect because yeah, it affects everyone personally. And in this Judgment Day thing, if everyone is going to be judged and weighed by some cosmic god as to their place in the universe, are you useful, are you not useful, that's also something that I guess affects you personally, and it gets really personal really fast, which I like. Silver Phantom asks how many characters are on this page. I haven't done an official count, so I can't say. But my guess is, I don't know, at least 100. I mean, that's a lot of characters. I don't know. I'm gonna count at some point. I've just been too busy drawing it to sit down and count. But I will. I also kind of want to make a guide to this page, like arrows naming each character. That would be kind of cool, right? Because whenever I see a splash page like this, I always think to myself, like, who's that person? Who's that person? Like, the point is to make you want to read the book, right? Or find out more. Because there's always that one or two people in an event comic where you're like, who is that person? Okay. So this guy's done. Now let's do the Mega Manish character. I'm gonna go with this light palette, I guess. No. I'm gonna go with the James Jean Spring palette. So that looks kind of perfect for this guy. Which one is the main face or main character of your comic? Oh, good question. So, to answer that, this is the main character of the comic. This character in the middle. And he's not a superhero. He's just a normal human person. But the Superman like character above him, his name is Red Thunder. This guy is a secondary character, and this character under him, the Unmaker, is also a secondary character. He's more of the antagonist, and this is more of like the helping protagonist. But they all have important roles to play in the whole story. Yeah, what I'm realizing about working with all of these characters is, I guess it's the problem with having team books as well, right? You just there's not enough room to give everyone the space you might want to give them, so you have to start being judicious with time. And it's really rough sometimes when you have all these cool ideas about all these characters, but you can't give them the space they deserve. You know, your allegiance always has to be to the clarity of the main story. Yeah, I'm thinking this Flower Boy Mega Man type character is like a Takeshi Murakami guy. Like he's giving me that vibe, which is nice. If you've seen his Sunflowers, he's pretty famous. Happy manic horticultural characters. We'll give him a little stripe here too. Whoop, maybe not, maybe here. I'm gonna try to avoid tangents also, where we have these weird intersections um, between elements that are not on the same plane. And it confuses the eye, so I'm also trying to avoid that while we're on flats. I keep thinking this is gonna be so awesome when I finally put out a reel where I just like show a quick time lapse of how this whole thing came together in like a few seconds, like 7 seconds or something like that. It's such a great effect. But it's not gonna give anyone a sense of just how long I actually spent on this piece. That's what these live streams are for, I guess. Do, 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 do. Okay, so we are making good progress here. This guy is making me very happy. I like how he looks. Bharat is asking how many layers right now. This is based off of this, we're at 41 layers. But I'm gonna keep condensing it as I move forward. You know, sometimes like at this point I am on a clipping mask on top of this layer 39, which is the main silhouette of the character. But once I've got all the flat colors down, I'm just gonna like flatten that into one layer, which is gonna save me some space. Not that I'm running into any layer limits right now. Ever since I upgraded to the M1 iPad Pro, the performance has been ridiculous. I have not bumped into any issues at all, so it's been really fun, and I recommend it. Although if you're planning to buy an iPad soon, I would urge you to wait because the M2 iPad is on the horizon. I think it's gonna release this October. So yeah, maybe wait a little bit. You'll get a better machine out of that. But yeah, this is really good. This has been really great, and I do not foresee myself needing anything more than this for a few years. I have a few professional gigs coming up, and I'm so happy I upgraded to this because it's giving me the horsepower I'm gonna need to make those gigs shine really well. And at this point too, you know, I'm streaming this off a PC, but the PC is like 7 years old, and I have used it to make comics. I have Photoshop on it. I have Clip Studio on it. I have an XP Pen tablet hooked up to it, but it's just not as enjoyable as drawing on the iPad right now. So the iPad is quickly turning into my main drawing gear. I guess the only downside to this character is drawing him over and over because he's a little complicated, but fun looking. Put a little pink there. Okay. Oh boy, time flies. How long have I been streaming? What's the longest you've spent on a piece? Musing Quest asks. Um, I think this is the longest I've ever spent on a piece. This canvas is 40 hours active, so This is probably the longest. I mean, if you don't count oil painting, because I've done some oil painting sessions where you're oil painting for 4 weeks. Same model, 4 hour sessions, 5 times a day. So how much is that? Let's see. I'm gonna calculate. That's 4 hours times 5 times 4. So that's 80 hours. Yeah. So I've spent 80 hours on a piece before, and that would be an oil painting. And that's like a normal, because you're working from a model, you're trying to get their likeness, you're doing all these tricks like triangulation, you're layering, you're moving towards impasto. It's a lot of work on a single image, which is why oil paintings are so beautiful. Well, academic, figurative, realist oil paintings, but yeah. But in terms of a comics page or a comics piece, this is probably the longest I've spent. A normal, I checked one of the earlier pages I did of this where it's just like normal. It's like maybe 4 figures. Um, and those pages are like 4 hours, maybe 6 hours at worst. Mighty Wimp asks, I'm watching you roughly fill in areas, then it somehow fills in the missing pixels. Is that some kind of fill command? Yes. Yes, it's a command called color drop, and it's part of Procreate. So what I do is I create an area, for example, like this, right? And I make sure to close the shape. And once the shape is closed, I can drag in another color on top of it here, and it's going to fill that area. And that's color drop. So yeah, what you do is once you fill that area, once you have a closed shape, here up here on the upper right, you just grab whatever color you want, and then drag it in, so like that, and it does the job. There's also a threshold to it that you can manipulate if you see here on the upper right. So you can kind of change how it interacts with the rest of it. But yeah, that's the basic of it. Honestly, if I was doing this on Photoshop, I'd be, or Clip Studio, I'd be using the lasso tool instead of the pencil tool. But I find the pencil tool on Procreate is just more enjoyable. And I'm using this ink pen that I always like to use. It's called Too Smooth to Be Forgotten. It's a Kyle T. Webster. It's actually a Photoshop brush that I've imported to Procreate. Oh boy, my flower guy has changed color. Let's change that. Ooh. Maybe this. Okay, that's better. Okay, so almost done with this guy. Then I can move on to the others. I also imagine that this guy's costume changes constantly, so the artist wouldn't have to like worry too hard about like making sure that all the shapes are the same all the time. Mm-mm-mm-mm. And then I want his shoes to have a little bit of this. Like that. By the way, the background is probably gonna be some kind of star field. So I'm just drawing against this green white for clarity so I can see what I'm doing, but in the end it's gonna be mostly black. Alright. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Something like that, and then something like this. Actually, let's leave it like that. And then this can do this. Boom. Yeah, I think this guy looks cute. Alright, we'll leave him like that. And then the Daredevil dude. This guy. Let's choose a nice color for him. His skin tone. I think he's like an Israeli guy. I'm gonna give him this color. One of the grim and gritty superheroes. I'm also not sure what his name is, but I had a name for him at some point. While I was drawing him, he had a name. It just escapes me at the moment. Mighty Wimp says, I think you're actually painting in the little gaps by hand, but the stream is not showing us your hand, so it's not obvious. Yeah, I wish I could. Actually, I can. Um, I could set up a camera so you could see my hand while I was streaming. I have a few of those in the past. This is just the most convenient way I've done it so far. But yeah, I'm drawing most of it, and then I'm color dropping the large shapes. Man, I'm not really happy with this hand, but whatever. I'm just gonna keep it as it is. Yeah, in the future when I upgrade my setup, I'll probably do an overhead camera more, so you guys can also see my hand as it's drawing these things. But the last time I tried this, it had a weird bit rate on the stream, so I don't know. Maybe it's not the optimum setup. So now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this orange guy, something has to change. Either this guy changes his main colors or this guy changes his main colors, but they're too close to each other right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into hue saturation. I'm gonna select this guy, go to hue saturation, and I'm gonna change the hue and see what I prefer here. And already I like this sort of purplish look to him, so I think I'm gonna stick with that for this character. Um, mhm. Checking to make sure. Yeah, I think the purplish look is the best look. And I'm just gonna need to redo the skin tone because it got a bit obliterated. So we're gonna do, whoop, not that. So it doesn't look too purple. And this is gonna change slightly when I get into highlights and shadows, so I'm not too worried about it. Just, want to make sure the base colors are roughly in the zone that I need it to be. Boom. Okay, so it is almost 12 and I gotta start getting ready to go to FlameCon. But I hope you guys got some good work done during the stream. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm gonna stream again next week, Sunday, so watch out for that. Have a good weekend, guys. Peace.